Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturning. First, a big thank you for those who have already submitted projects to the Christmas Ornament Woodturning Challenge for this year. And for everyone else, there's still time to do some more entries to it. For mine, I had some segmented cherry rings left over from a previous project, the squash. But let's add a couple more and let's make a Christmas bell.
I'm starting with 3 segmented rings of cherry left over from my squash project. That's not quite enough, so I made 2 more similar rings, but slightly smaller for the top of the bell. I sanded both faces on a disc sander. With the rings ready, I glued the first 2 together into a wood faceplate in one operation. Then, after the glue dried, I faced off the top of the stack with a round carbide scraper. I marked the surface so I could tell when I had flattened the whole surface. To check for flatness, I placed a tool across the surface to check whether I could see any gap. Since it was getting dark, I used my cell phone for additional lighting. Once flat, I glued on the next ring. Again, after the glue dried, I followed nearly the same procedure for the final layer. Then, with the stack glued together and the glue dry, I can start the serious turning. Segmented turning is different from either spindle or faceplate turning because all the grain is face grain. It even has a different sound as it is turned on the lathe. At this point, I'm using a gouge for the rough shaping. I'll do most of the exterior shaping now. With the outside nearly done, I started hollowing the bell. I'll start with a standard bowl gouge. With most of the interior removed, I'm switching to a round carbide scraper for the final bit, but I still like my gouge for heavy wood removal. When just about finished, I wanted a very straight portion at the bottom of the bell. This will be how I mount the bell later to finish the top of the bell when I remove it from the faceplate. I'm using a pen against the wall to show how straight the inner sides are. Then sand and finish all but the top of the bell. I'm using walnut oil for this bell. Then carefully part off the bell from the faceplate. Now with my chuck on the lathe, I'm putting some tape on the jaws to reduce any jaw marks from when I expand them into the bottom of the bell into the straight mortise I cut earlier. After mounting the bell, I'm refining the top of the bell. Then I'm drilling a hole for a top spindle before sanding and finishing the top. Now for the final details, a knocker and a top finial. For these, I'm using laburnum, a very dense wood that I scavenged from a friend's yard. I started out without the tailstock in place. The wood quickly reminded me of my oversight. I'll turn it to somewhat of a sphere. It's not going to be perfect sphere, but close enough. Then just a little sanding. It's a good thing I remembered to drill the hole to hang it with before I went any further. Then apply the walnut oil and part off the knocker. Now for the finial. I'll trim the cylinder just a little, then use it as a mounting tenon when I reverse the wood to work around a big defect in the wood. Before my first finial, they were scary. Now that I've made a bunch, they're getting fairly routine. I'm sure I can still refine my shapes and process, as they're far from perfect, just not scary. After reversing the wood, I'll first cut the tenon that will hold it to the bell, then shape this as a top finial. This is gouge territory. When drilling it for mounting loop, drilling the hole was surprisingly difficult due to the dense wood. When shaping is complete, a little sanding and finishing, and I'm ready to assemble my bell. And voila! My Christmas bell is ready to ring in Christmas and ready for our challenge. There's still time for more ornaments for the challenge. There's no complex rules, just make a video turning an ornament, upload it, and let me know to include it in the playlist. Let's have some fun. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my website and YouTube channel. Please wear your face shield when turning. Until next time, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns.